Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress Video. I'm doing a quick because I really need you guys. I know I've been bringing you lots of YouTube content lately. Maybe some of y'all other YouTubers can relate. I have been neglecting cleaning my house. And I think part of that is because I spend a lot of my free time doing YouTube. So I'm going to do a quick VR and then I'm going to finally freaking vacuum my house for the first time in like a month. Okay. It hasn't been that long. 3 weeks. But still, that's a long time when you have two very hairy dogs. Okay. So I'm doing a VR today to Moon Baby, and it is hashtag tarot collector. So there are particular prompts for this, and I will go through them as we go through the video. Number one, the first prompt is your most expensive deck. So the way that I decided to define this is the one that I paid the most for, and it is my Modern Witch, the limited edition. So this is the one that has Temperance on one side and Hermit on the other. And this is, I really don't have very many expensive decks, but this limited edition came with like a tin and a pin and a patch, and it has gilded edges on the cards, and it has a little, it's like signed and numbered. This is the only signed and numbered deck that I currently have. That's not something that's like super important to me to have, but I just really wanted to support this deck. It's one of my top 5 favorite decks, and I really like, and I'm not showing you all the other things that it came with, but like the tin, I keep all of my Sharpies in. It came with this altar cloth that is in the background of a lot of my videos. The pin I have on a blazer, the patch I have hanging up on my wall. It says Modern Tarot Society on it. It was just a really sweet kit. And the whole thing ended up costing me, I don't really remember, but I think it was like $80 total, like including shipping and everything. And totally worth it because you get the deck and you get, like I said, the tin, the pin, the patch, the it's signed and limited and all that stuff. And I don't really care about the gold edges on the cards, but that was a thing that you only got with the special edition. So this is probably my most expensive deck. Definitely my most expensive deck. The second prompt is your least expensive deck. Oh, I didn't find a place to put these things down after I... Okay. And that is my Spirit Halloween Tarot. This one retails for $7.99. I didn't end up paying shipping too. So like including shipping, this isn't actually my least expensive deck, but it's almost my least expensive deck. And this is one that I just got like a few weeks ago. I haven't really used it much yet. I think it's really charming, honestly. I think someone actually put time into this. It has the like astrological correspondences at the bottom, or planetary. It's not a totally, I mean, as far as like getting a deck at your local Spirit Halloween store, it's not as ridiculous as you would think it would be. You know, it has some weight to it. I haven't totally gotten to know it yet because I've just had it for a few weeks, but I do think it's something. It is something. One thing though, the cards are kind of like bigger than the box. It still works. Like you can still put the lid on it for the most part. It's really not bad for being an $8 deck that you can get at your local Halloween store. And I really like just this. It's just tarot cards. I just like that. It's my least expensive deck. The third prompt is the deck that others want to steal from your collection. Again, like I said before, I don't have like an extensive valuable collection or anything. So the only thing I could think of was my first edition Wild Unknown, and I got really lucky with this. Someone was selling it on eBay for $15, and I assumed I was going to be getting a knockoff first edition. When I bought it, it was still in the wrapping. It had never been unboxed. So I was lucky to get this because I prefer the backing on the first edition Wild Unknown, and it's one of my favorite decks. And you can still find it, but it costs like $125 now. So that's why I would assume that other people might be jealous that I was able to get this for, this one's got a little stain on it. I would assume that people would be jealous that I was able to get this for $15. So that's my one that others might want to steal from my collection. Not super valuable, but people might want it. The fourth prompt is my Strangest deck. I don't really have anything that I would call strange necessarily, but one thing that did come to mind is my Begin Oracle. And the only reason why I would call it strange is because this is a very extensive Oracle deck. You can find it on Etsy here's the information if you are interested in this deck. Can you see that? There you go, littlemagicherbalshop.com. And the only reason why I would call it strange is because it's like a 78 or 80 card deck or something. The artwork is very weird, or it can be. It's like a collage deck. The cards are huge, as you can see. They don't even really fit on the screen the way I have my tripod set up right now. But I feel like it's a very good Oracle deck. But just as far as imagery and kind of wrapping your brain around the content of this particular deck is just, it's a little weird, but I really like that. I wouldn't necessarily, even though I would define it as my strangest deck, I don't, and obviously this isn't a tarot deck, but this is the only non-tarot deck I have in this little video. Sorry, Mercury retrograde. My brain is definitely feeling it this time. Although I was born during a Mercury retrograde, so I don't think it affects me the same way it does most people. I think I'm just, premenstrual, honestly. Yeah, I'm willing to share that with you guys. Okay, fifth prompt. The deck that others would be least likely to have in their collection. Like I said, I don't have a super extensive collection, so I don't have anything super rare, but this is just one I haven't seen on other people's channels a lot, and it's the Gorgons Tarot. This is the mini version. This is actually my cheapest deck, my least expensive deck, because it was $10 including shipping, whereas with that Spirit Halloween, even though you can buy it in the store for $8, I didn't find it in my local store, so I did have to buy it from their website and pay shipping, so it ended up being like $13. So this is literally my cheapest deck. But I would say it's the least likely that other people would have, just because I haven't seen that many people talk about it. I did just recently get it. I haven't fully worked with it a lot yet, but it seems to be like a pretty straightforward Rider-Waite Smith knockoff. Obviously it's circular, which kind of annoys me, but it's okay. But I really it's a black and white deck. It's my only black and white deck. And I really like the way that the textures are used to make the different tones. So it doesn't feel flat, even though it's a black and white deck. And the artwork is very, it's very interesting to me. I think I'm going to have, if I can get past the fact that it's a circular deck and it's hard to shuffle, and this is the mini version and it seems huge to me. These are my hands. I can't even get my hands all the way around it. And it's the mini version of the deck. So I just think this is a gorgeous, cute little gorgeous cute. It's a gorgeous cute. Look at that little husky. Um, I just think it's a really interesting deck, and just flipping through it right now is making me want to work with it right now. And I just got it like a month or two ago. Haven't really used it much yet. It comes like without a box or anything if you get the mini version. It doesn't have a guidebook or a box. It does if you get like the full-size version, but it seems like it's going to be huge if it's any bigger than that, which of course it is. Okay, next prompt, sixth prompt, my oldest deck. I chose to go with, because I've only been collecting tarot decks for like a little less than 2 years, I don't like my oldest one, you'll actually see later, but I chose to go with the one that is physically the oldest. So I bought this. This is a vintage yellow box Rider-Waite-Smith that I bought on eBay. This is one of the ones that still has the copyright. It's from like the 80s, I think. And it's got that awesome like papery kind of cardstock. And it shuffles like a dream. And it's my oldest because it's actually from because I think it's from the 80s. It might be from the 90s, which if it is, then I actually have another deck that's older, but you're going to see it later. Anyway, my newest deck, just got this one in the mail last week, and it's not in the box right now because I'm using it this week. It is the Nightmare Before Christmas deck. I think I got it early last week. And I find it to be very charming. I don't think I'm going to like go real deep with this deck, but I think it's just going to be a fun deck to use for client readings and for daily draws and stuff like that, especially like now through Christmas. I think this is going to be a good Christmas deck for me, honestly, because for me, emotions run high at Christmas time. It's not a terrible time of year, but it hasn't been the best time of year lately. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good lighthearted deck to get through the difficulty of holidays with family members. Yes. So that's my newest deck. The 8th prompt is the deck that made me want to collect tarot. So this is the other one that, depending on how old my Smith-Waite yellow box is, this one might be older because it has a copyright of 1985. And I believe this is one that was given to me by a family friend back in, it's been 2 years now. I think it was around November of 2018. And it was in the box was just like this, but the cards were still in the plastic when I opened it. So it was new to me, but let me look at the little white book here. 1985. Yeah, I think that this is, if not the first printing, I think it's one of the first printings. I could be wrong. So I think this one actually is from 1985. Or 84 is the copyright, but 85 is what the book says. So it might be like a second or third printing. This is Tarot of the Cat, people. Sorry, I don't think I even said that. Look at that. He's my favorite. That face. And this is the deck that kind of got me into tarot again. Because this is the first, weirdly enough, this is the first Rider-Waite-Smith based deck, even though it's kind of loosely based on Rider-Waite-Smith. It's not a total knockoff, but I think it's close enough. This is the first tarot deck I ever had, even though I've had tarot decks since I was a teenager, that actually has illustrated pips. And I was so like struck by it because it was given to me by a family friend, and he had just had it in his house probably since the 80s, and he just never used it. He's one of those people that like he buys things that he thinks other people might want someday, and then he just keeps them until he's ready to give them. So it's literally like this has been in his house since I was, 3 years old, possibly. And he gave it to me in my 30s. And it was the first RWS deck I'd ever held in my hands, ever. RWS style deck that I'd ever held in my hands. And I was so struck by like how 70s everybody looked and all the cute cats, and it just reopened the world of tarot for me. This deck is the one that did it. And it made me realize that even though I'd avoided the Rider-Waite-Smith deck my entire life, that is actually the system that I need to use. This deck helped me realize that, helped me look into tarot enough to even have the words to describe that. And it's definitely the one that I would, Tarot of the Cat people, I would, and it might actually be my oldest deck as well, depending on how old my Smith-Waite actually is, if I can't date it completely. And then the very last prompt, the ninth and last, sorry, is my favorite deck, and that would be Marigold Tarot. I was going to get out like several of my favorites for this last one, and I'm just now realizing I forgot to do that. So, but this is definitely my favorite. This is definitely what I would call my soul deck if I were going to make that sort of claim on a deck. Like I've said to you guys many times before, it just really like taps in for me. Like I just had a moment with this deck, like a year or more ago, because I've had it since February of 2019, where I just like tapped in to this deck. And it was almost like every time I do a reading with this deck, it's like I'm having a conversation, and it's just really special to me. And I bought a backup copy. This is my backup copy. This is because my original, the one that I use most of the time, is actually like, kind of funny. I have a very respectful relationship to this deck. I usually use the gold edged version, and the gold edged version I keep in a box completely by itself, like a handmade box that my mom made when she was in high school that she gave to me recently. I keep it in the box with the altar cloth in the bag. I've bought like everything off of Amrit Brewer's website that is related to this deck. And she just came out with like a box set that includes a journal, and I really want it, but I don't need another copy of this deck. But anyway, I have a very like weird, respectful relationship with this deck. I really get the vibe like I can't really use this deck for daily draws. This deck demands that I only take it out when I have specific questions, and then it wants to be put back, and it wants to be kept away from all of my other decks. And it's very weird because I don't have like this kind of like sort of anthropomorphic relationship with any of my other decks. It's just this one. So I think that's why I would call it my favorite, because I have a sense of this deck's personality in a way that I don't with other decks, and it's very important to me. So thank you to Moon Baby for creating this gorgeous VR and tarot collector. I think I might be the wrong type of person to show off a tarot collection, because I don't really have anything that anyone would necessarily consider valuable, but it's valuable to me. And I hope to see your VRs on this subject for anybody that wants to do one, and I'll probably be following the hashtag. So that's it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching.